There's been a lot of skepticism around how successful Deion Sanders' tenure in Colorado is going to work out because he's taken an untraditional approach to overhauling Colorado's roster, which is just saying we're not about to build this thing up through recruiting. We're going to build this thing up by finding guys who are good enough to have an immediate impact via the transfer portal. And he has brought in two insanely large transfer classes the last couple of years. And in recruiting, yeah, he hasn't had good recruiting classes, but he has found a few guys who are highly talented, such as Jordan Seaton, who can come in and produce at a high level right away as a true freshman. Deion Sanders is going to change college football after how successful Colorado is going to be this year, because he's going to show everybody that, hey, you don't have to take this approach anymore in the new era of college football that's ran by NIL and the transfer portal. He's taking a similar approach to how you would build an NFL team. And how would you go about constructing an NFL team? Well, you sign guys in free agency, you draft guys via the draft, and you're not looking for guys who you can develop over the next 3 to 4 years who can come in, who can become high-end starters for you. You're looking for guys who can come in and be high-end starters for you right away. That's the approach that Deion is taking, and it's a good approach to have because in today's age of college football, you don't have 4 to 5 years anymore to turn around a program. Prime example, look at all of the pressure that Billy Napier has on him going into this year. He's in his third year at Florida. Deion Sanders is trying to win as fast as possible. You see, what people fail to realize about the transfer portal is that it may be difficult to build a good locker room and a good culture when you got a bunch of guys who you get from the portal who don't really have any blood, sweat, and tears with your program. But that doesn't always mean that you're going to have a shitty locker room. Georgia has built their program up the right way, but every day you log into social media, you always see a Georgia player getting arrested for either racing or doing some kind of other heinous crime. So don't try to pitch to me how Deion Sanders isn't going to be able to build a good culture because he's going about assembling his roster mostly through the transfer portal when there are guys who do things the traditional way, building up their teams through recruiting, who have all kinds of off the field issues that they have to worry about. The thing with building through the transfer portal is, can you assemble a team that you have enough guys who not only are good enough to play at a high level, but they're going to have good chemistry and they're going to have good communication. When you are building an offensive line via the portal, it's hard to have good, sustainable offensive line play because the offensive line, unlike any other position in the NFL, isn't one of those where you can just get a group of guys together and just make it work right out the gate, because part of having a good offensive line is that you got to have that chemistry and you got to have guys who have a good amount of games playing with each other so the communication can be on par and you don't have a lot of missed assignments. That was one of the biggest reasonings for why the offensive line play we saw out of the Buffs last year was so abysmal, because the offensive line didn't have good communication. But with Deion Sanders keeping a few of those starters on last year's unit, coupled with the new guys that he's going to have coming in who are going to be starting on the offensive line this year, the offensive line should be improved. Now, when it comes to the other positions that he has addressed during this offseason via the portal, such as the defensive line, he got two defensive ends from Pitt that were really productive last year, and they did start, and Deion Haynes and Samuel Okinola. You also got BJ Green from Arizona State, who was a top 100 rated player from the portal cycle. And he also was a second team all Pac-12 selection. And it's not like Deion Sanders is just bringing in a bunch of third or second stringers who weren't good enough to start at their other schools, so they have to go to Colorado because that's seen as their last chance of being able to have a good career. No, he's getting guys who have had multiple years starting at Power 4 programs, and he's also getting the better players out of the G5. He got a really good safety from Liberty last year. And nobody's talking about how good this dude is because people just wanted to put this stereotype on what Deion Sanders is doing. It's just getting randoms out of the portal who are nothing but backups at best. No, he is getting players who not only have had good production at their previous schools, but he's finding players that are going to be able to come in and improve Colorado. It's not about recruiting all the time when you're in the new age of college football that these programs are putting more pressure on you to win now based off the success that Mel Tucker had early during his tenure with Michigan State when he got a bunch of guys out of the portal. Same thing with Lincoln Riley and LSU. Lincoln Riley and Brian Kelly, their first year at their new programs, they had immediate success heavily utilizing the transfer portal. Why would I wait 3 to 4 years doing things the traditional way, recruiting guys and developing them, when I can get guys from the portal and have a team that's better equipped to win now versus having to wait 3 to 4 years down the line? And that's the thing that kind of confuses me when people talk about the untraditional approach that Deion Sanders has taken. You keep saying how he needs to recruit, but what recruits is he realistically going to be able to bring in? Out of 25 players, how many of those guys at 18, 17 years old are going to be good enough to have immediate impact for my program right away and give me the best chance to win? Not too many. There are not too many guys out of high school that are ready to start right out the gate their first college football season. So therefore, how is Deion going to be able to improve Colorado as fast as he wants to by just relying on recruiting? I get that you got to have somewhat of some balance, but the transfer portal is a really good opportunity to improve your roster fast, and then you can worry about putting more time into recruiting later down the road. I believe that the NFL approach Deion Sanders is taking is going to work. And when he does have success utilizing this method, it's going to cause a chain reaction among the rest of college football, where you're going to have more new coaches who are going to take the same approach that Deion Sanders is taking at Colorado if it ends up working, because it's a copycat league. The NFL approach is something that we haven't seen to this level be done in college football, where you're just trying to find guys in the transfer portal, have those guys come in and compete, and then if you don't have a lot of guys who you got who are good enough, you cut those guys and bring in some more guys and try those out until you actually have a good group of guys who are good enough to come in and play at a high level for you. People question this method because it hasn't been done to this scale before. But there's a first time for everything, because Deion Sanders has never failed at anything he's ever done. He's a Hall of Famer in the NFL for a reason. He won at Jackson State. And he's going to win at Colorado because of this approach. And I think that the way he's going about overhauling and rebuilding Colorado is going to be the new president or the new precedent for how other coaches are going to go about overhauling or rebuilding their programs, because you don't have forever to win in today's college football. At best, you got about 3 years, maybe 4 years max if you show some improvement. For Deion Sanders, he doesn't have time for all that. And you can still develop guys from the transfer portal. Let's say you do get a couple of guys who you whiff on who aren't good enough to play at a high level for you right away. That doesn't mean that they never will be able to. You can take a couple of these transfer guys and develop them for the next couple of years, similar to what Florida State did with Johnny Wilson and Jordan Travis. But there's more to building a roster than just recruiting guys out of high school. I trust in what Deion Sanders is building. We seem to forget that they were 4-8 last year, but there were a good amount of one-possession games that they lost that if the ball would have bounced in a different direction, they would have won those games. They choked a 29-point lead against Stanford. They were up 10 points before they imploded against Arizona, who won 10 games under Jet Fish last year. There was way more positives to take out of Coach Prime's first season at Colorado than the word negative. It's just that people have a hard time taking everything into perspective when it comes to talking about Deion Sanders and how he runs his program. Because let's just be honest, there's a lot of people out there that love Coach Prime, and there's a lot of people that just hate this guy's guts just to hate on him. I ask people every day, why do you not believe in Colorado? They say, I don't like Deion Sanders. I don't know why so many people just don't like Deion Sanders. Maybe it's because he's arrogant, cocky, and boastful, but backs it up. And now people are trying to use this opportunity where they don't believe he's going to be able to win to finally be able to shit pile on Deion Sanders. But I don't think you're going to get that kind of glory, my people. I really believe that what Deion Sanders is building down there in Boulder is going to work, and they're going to end up winning the Big 12 championship this year. And when this model of building a team works, other coaches are going to start doing the same thing. There already are plenty of coaches who have overhauled their team with nothing but transfers, but nobody talks about them because they're not Deion Sanders. Everything Coach Prime does gets put under a microscope. Everybody wants to criticize just every small move that Deion Sanders makes. And when you have a coach that does things untraditionally, people are going to be skeptical of that. But Deion Sanders, with the star power he has with his name alone, he's going to be able to do something that a lot of coaches probably aren't going to have too much success being able to do. Why this NFL approach is going to work for Deion Sanders is because it's Deion Sanders. He's one of the few guys I believe who can be able to pull this off. He knows how to build a good culture. He's been around plenty of great coaches throughout his career, collegiately and professionally. I trust that Deion knows what he's doing. This NFL approach that he's taking is going to work.